Good morning, everyone. Morning, girls. Just don't knock my bike over, please. Oh. I seriously can't wait till Big Yellow comes up though. It is cold this morning, although there's a heap of clouds up there, so it might take a bit to warm up, but my hands are frozen. It was supposed to be like -2 and a frost, although it hasn't frosted over, which is good for us. But yesterday it was bitterly cold as well, so 2 hours south of here is the Desert Road, and they shut that when it gets snowy and icy, and it must have been snowing because they shut it. And I think they also shut the Taupo to Napier Road too, so it must have been pretty cold south of here, although there's a lot of snow down south. But September can be pretty cold for us. We're not through the worst of winter yet, although we're officially in spring. I don't think spring starts till the end of September, so need to warm up big time. Check this girl out. She's a 4-year-old, number 60. Hey girl, a beautiful udder on her. Her sire is a Goldie, which is quite an old bull, but nice looking cow. Wish we had more like her. Come on. Here she comes, beautiful. This black cow here at the front, that's number 320, she was the one that jumped over that barbed wire fence the other day. And her udder's fine, there's no cuts or scratches or anything on it, thankfully. Oh, I need to warm my hands up, it's just hot water in here. Finally getting some feeling back. It's always oddly satisfying when you get consecutive numbers. 90 and 91. Never had 3 come in a row though. That'd be pretty unlikely, but it would be pretty cool if it did. Dad always gives me a bit of a hand when we sort of swap the herds over, so I get up and help him milk, and then he does the first couple of rows, and now he's shot off. He's going to go and shut the first herd in, and he's also going to go and move the calving cows, because we've got 20 left, so we are almost done. I am currently milking 11 full rows at the moment, and he's milking, oh no, he needs 1 more and he'll be milking 8. So all we need is another 16, and then we've got our limit. One in, up you go. It would be quite nice if we did have a couple today, but I can't see that happening. We did have 3 yesterday, so I just feel like today is going to be one of those days where we get 0. They're straight through there, so I'll know soon. He'll either come back with some cows that are calved, or he'll just come back by himself. Any calves? No calves. I knew it. I knew there'd be none today. And the sun's up, but there's a lot of clouds around, so it's behind a few. But it's still real cold. I don't know if you can see on there, but you can see my breath. Last row of girls in, but it's certainly nice milking at the moment. They're coming in pretty full, so we are coming up to peak, which will probably be at the end of September, early October, before they get in calf. But some nice udders here. That's another nice cow there. Beautiful. Get up. Cows are on the new grass today, so this is the second grazing I've had on this since calving. I can have a good feed. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about how my season's going so far. So season to date in milk production, and I'm talking milk solids, I'm actually behind for the season. And last season's quite a good one to compare it to because we actually had quite a good start. So I'm actually 7% behind, which is quite a bit. And you might be thinking, well, how are you that far behind? What are the main causes? And I put it down to two things. So the first thing I think is that I'm actually kept a lot of late calving cows that I probably would have got rid of in the past, but I wanted to get rid of some other ones. So I've kept a heap of cows that are calving late. And the other reason, probably the big one, is that just the cows are in a little bit worse a condition than we would have liked. So they're not too bad, but they could be better. And we are coming off one of the hardest summers we've had, probably, that Dad can remember, certainly. So it's still recovering from that, really. But it's going to be interesting to see if I can sort of close that gap and at some point in the season maybe get back out in front. I think I can do it probably in the summer, but it really depends on the weather, and they're already talking about another dry summer, so I really hope not, but fingers crossed. So I'm also feeding these girls a little bit more than I was last year, and they're probably putting that feed into building up condition rather than milk production at the moment. So they are cycling really well. Hopefully we're going to have a good mating. I'm also milking a few more in here. So what I'm going to do this year is I normally milk 11 rows, I'm milking 12. So all the cows that are going to calve from now pretty much are going to come into this mob. And Dad is milking 1 row less. So he usually milks 9, he's going to milk 8. And all of his cows are either 2 or 3 year olds. And we sort of wanted to do that. So there's no really bossing them around. And I think it's going to work quite well. We might as well put all the old ones in here as well, because they're going to milk the best. So that's sort of the reasoning behind that. I've been waiting for this, and it's finally here. Hopefully this new microphone sorts out all the crackling that's been going on lately. So hopefully this works a lot better than it has been. Also had another parcel turn up, so you'll find out what's happening with that very soon. I just came to grab my jumper though, because it's still pretty cold. That's better. There's a couple of other little things that I've sort of been working on for the last couple of years, and the somatic cell count is definitely one of them. I've been trying to get it lower and lower, and so far this season it has stayed about the same. We had a little spike this morning, but I did find a cow with mastitis, so it should go back down. But we're sort of sitting around, I need to go historical, around the 160 mark. So we're down 6% for the season, which isn't too bad, but I don't think that's much of a change. And for September we are up 42%. But like I said, we're only at the start of September, so I think that will change and it will come down over time. If I go to previous, so you can see these lines here, that was 2 years ago, and that line there was last year. So we're sort of tracking not too bad. It looks like we're going to sort of even out in the middle, which is not what we want. We want it to drop as far to the bottom as we can. So one of the preventative measures that I did take around it was, last year when we dried off, I used dry cow. I didn't teat seal the cows, I just used dry cow. So I did any cow that was over 150,000 and any 2-year-old that was over 120,000 for somatic cell count on the last herd test. And it definitely worked the year before. Our number of mastitis cases dropped quite significantly, about 30-odd%. And this year, I think we've had more cases. I haven't added it up. We've definitely had more mastitis than we had last year, and I could probably put it down to a bit of the weather too. So it has been pretty wet, it's been pretty muddy. They do tend to pick up, or we get a lot more cases when the weather's not quite so good. However, it would be quite interesting to have a look at the cases and see how many of them are actually dry cowed back in the autumn. So one of the biggest goals I have though is to get our somatic cell count under that 150 for the season. We just snuck in there last year, we got 148,000. And I sort of want to get it lower than that this year, which I don't know, at this stage it's not looking likely, but there's still a lot of the season to go, so hopefully we can sort of do it. Mastitis is sort of one of the biggest issues that we do have on farm, so I have been taking preventative measures that have seemed to be working, but I'd like to go further. And I think possibly going forward, one thing that could help us with this majorly is possibly, I need to talk to my vet about it, but teat sealing the cows. And also I want to get that, I'm not sure what it's called, but I think it's called the Mastitis, and it's like a box where you test your mastitis, and within 24 hours it sends you back an email saying which antibiotics you should be treating the cow with. So it's more precise. Instead of using the same antibiotics all the time, you're using the right one for the right case. I know a few people out there that have got it and they absolutely rave about it, so once the cash flow is a little bit more positive, we can sort of look into that. It's a little bit hard to see, but the young herd is in that paddock, and they made a bit of a mess the other night when it rained heaps. So it's a bit black next to the hedge where they're all standing and along the fence line there, but hopefully with a bit of sunshine it'll buff out. One of the other things that we did, which we have never done before, is teat seal the heifers. So we did that back in, I think it's either end of May or early June. It might have been in June. So I was just trying to catch up with Dad to get his thoughts on it, to let you guys know what we're sort of thinking and how it turned out, but I think he's gone inside. He's done for the day, so I'll catch up with him tomorrow. Well, it's a way better day today. It's beautiful. But I've just come up, Dad's bringing the tractor over. We're just going to unload some firewood. So we'll just get Dad's opinion on it now. So teat sealing the heifers, we've done it for the first time. You've done it for the first time.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts? So far this season, sorry I just butt him first, but we haven't had any mastitis in the heifers from calving. We have got one case at the moment that's come a little bit later.
Yes, it's probably worth itself, and I must admit Martha did tell me that, but I just didn't listen to her. But yes, I think we'll teat seal the heifers from now on, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so it's definitely worked out. Like, we haven't had any mastitis in them, and yeah, it's just nice to have heifers that aren't going to be three titters from when they've just come back and first calved. So I think it's definitely worth it. Plus,
yep, I'd have to admit you're probably right.
Yeah, he's paying the bills, so it's good to know that he thinks these things we're doing are a bit of an improvement. So yeah, maybe we'll talk about maybe teat sealing the cows at the end of the season too. Hopefully I can sort of swing them around on that one too.
Yeah, we'll see about that one.
Yeah, it might be a stretch. Bit of a mix what we got going on here. I know that's gum, and this is Lawsony Anna, but this is real nice because it splits real nice for kindling, and it's quite dry, so it's great for starting fires with. All done, so that's the last load that's going in that pile. But while he's here, I thought I'd ask him about something else too. So we did milk the colostrums twice daily this year instead of only doing it once daily in the past. So what did you think of that?
Yeah, that was a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
but we did it just because you wanted to do it, but I don't know whether it made any difference.
Well, I think it did. We definitely got better colostrum for the replacement heifers. We haven't had near as much illness in them. We've only had a couple that have had the scours. So I think that way's definitely been a massive positive, although you don't do anything with the calves, so you don't really know.
I'm allergic to calves now.
But we also didn't have many. I think we had 1 or 2 cases of mastitis from when we bought those cows in once he'd calved from the paddock to that first milking. So that's a massive decrease in what we have in past years. So I think it's definitely helped that way too.
Yep.
It's just we have picked up a lot of mastitis, I guess, from about that week onwards. They sort of cows get it, and we've probably had more than last year, like I was saying a little bit earlier. But yeah, do it again next year.
Well, that's up to you, I suppose.
Yeah, I think we will. I definitely think it's worth it. Just getting that better colostrum earlier, and getting milk out of the cow, so there's less chance of mastitis for her. I'm just going to go and pick up some sticks now. We are getting ready for maize because we're actually spraying out next week, which I'll explain in a few videos time because it is pretty early. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. That'll pretty much do it. I hope you also enjoyed Dad's perspective. As I said earlier on, he pays the bill, so it's quite good hearing what he thinks. He's not so keen on a few other things I want to do beforehand, but afterwards he's sort of come round to it, so it's quite cool hearing his point of view too. I'm also very glad that this new microphone's turned up. I was editing last night and yeah, there's a lot of video that didn't work. It just had no sound, so perfect timing. But thanks for watching, and like always, give it a thumbs up. That'd be awesome. And apart from that, see you next time. Wasn't a bad load from just along the edge of these trees here, but these are walnut trees. And check this out, that's pretty out of it. Look, there's a stockpile of walnuts here. And there was a rat hole there, but I kicked some in there and stomped it down. So they've been stockpiling, there's hundreds of them.